Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back on GT Sport and we're back at Willow Springs for another race, driving in the GR4 class of car. You can see there we're starting from pole position driving the 86 Toyota GR4. We got our pace up a bit. You can see we qualified on pole with I think it was a 1 minute 15.7 at this stage. We had got our pace back up. If you would have watched the video the other day when it was one of my first races on the track. This time we've got ourselves in a lot more in the zone for this track, and we got our speed a lot better. As you can see there, we've got some fast drivers behind us as well. And we're going into the first corner. The race is a go, and we can see straight away this the Audi TT, such a fast car down the straight, able to get very close to us already in the braking zone. But obviously we're able to hold it off. We're straight away going into fuel save mode. I wanted to fuel save a little bit for the first stint, so you can see there saving fuel through this corners. Putting in one mix there kind of just didn't. It did gain you a little bit of time, but I just found not massive amounts. So I was trying to use whenever possible fuel saving just into fuel mixture 2, just to save a little bit but maintain some speed. So we run a little bit wide there, kicking up some dust to the car behind. You can see we've got the TV replay camera and the view from behind my car as the Audi TT follows us around the track. So going through this corner now, we didn't get the best exit there, but nor did the guy behind us in the Audi TT. We both did that a bit scruffy, so we actually get a reasonable gap between ourselves and the guy behind going through this long stretch now, which is a real slipstreaming zone. We take the normal line nice and tight through this corner there, you can see, and he's getting more and more of a slipstream. He looks like he already looks a bit impatient. He's moving about a lot and looks like he's getting very close to our bumper there, going through the final corner. And we run it and get quite a nice exit. He doesn't get the best exit, so we've got good speed down the straight, but he's obviously getting the slipstream now, and you can see in that mirror he's closing, although he's too far back to really make a move at this point. So we're braking down into third gear, and you can see there's a little bit of contact there straight away. And you're gonna go back and watch this now. I was a little bit frustrated at this. I don't feel like this move it wasn't on in my view. So you can see in the braking zone he just sideswipes us. Oh, and the braking zone we were already on the brakes, and he wasn't even level with us. So look at that, our brake lights are on and he's not even level with us at that point. So it was a stupid move in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think, but I think that was too aggressive, and we get a 4-second penalty for that move. So frustrated is the least of what I was. I was a little bit annoyed because I felt that move wasn't on. If he was next to us at the point of braking, if he was side by side, then fair enough, the move is on. But when you're in the braking zone and you're still behind like that, to just dive bomb into that corner of all corners, which is a fast corner, it's not a second gear or a first gear corner, it's a fourth gear corner, fourth gear corner you take quite fast. So I was a little bit wound up with that, and he just seemed very aggressive in terms of the way he was driving. Although at the end of the race I didn't have any bad feelings towards him. We both said good race to each other, so I think we let it go. But you can see there, he was just very impatient. You're going to see throughout the race now, even when he's behind me in a minute, he just seems like, I think he felt he had more pace than me, but he didn't realise. I don't think he obviously didn't realise I was fuel saving in certain places, just to make sure that I've got enough obviously fuel. For this part though, I made sure I went back down to fuel mixture 1 because I didn't want him making another move like that, as I felt it was just really aggressive what he did. You can see that he's having another look from so far back. I mean, I don't understand what the point of doing that is. I know like some people do it to make you think and put a bit of pressure on, but he was too far back for me even to worry about that, so I just ignored it. Although maybe he's trying to scare us out the way after what he did in the first lap, thinking that he'd do it again, so I'd just move out of his way. But that wasn't going to happen. I'm not just going to give someone the lead, and I wasn't going to take that penalty for 4 seconds, because if I took 4-second penalty in this track, I'd have to wait and get back amongst all the drivers. On this track you tend up getting it tends to be very dirty in the midfield, so I just wanted to hold it out at the front and see if we could hold him off and save some fuel. If we could save some fuel, so in the pit stop we can gain a bit. And again, he got really close to our rear bumper going through that corner. He was just really aggressive the way he was driving. You can see, I mean, obviously he wanted to get past, and that's fair enough. I drive aggressive sometimes when I'm trying to overtake people, but I drive it aggressive in a way that I believe is fair. If you watch the Porsche Cayman video at Nürburgring, you see, I drive aggressive, but I give people space, and that's the key thing. You've got to give people space. You can't just be like throwing your car up the inside and doing random moves. And you can see again, we get a better exit from that corner. Every time we seem to get a better exit out of the corner than him, so he couldn't really make a move, and he's actually flashing his lights there, and you can see again he's having a little look, but that isn't going to work. You can't can't throw one up there from there. He was even further back than when he did it on lap 1, but on the end of lap 1. So going through to the turn 1, so he was starting lap 4 obviously now. It's just basically between us three, it looks like it at the front. We got 3 cars very close together. 4th, 5th and 6th fell back a bit. You can see the difference already in our pace. Even though we're fuel saving, we're in a low 17. You're going to see the difference when we actually obviously up the fuel a bit, and the consistency kicks in when we have to really put the laps in, because we got a 4-second penalty. So what my aim was to do really at this stage, because I knew I had a 4-second penalty, if I drive aggressively now, he's just going to probably hold on to my slipstream, and I've got 4 seconds to get rid of. So my plan was, at this stage, I felt like he was using one mixture, because you can see down the straight he just seemed to be gaining a bit, and he was flashing his lights a lot. You can see going into this right hand corner now, I'm taking the normal line, and he's very, look at him flashing. He expected me to move out the way, I felt there. I felt like he thought I was just going to get out of the way on that corner, which it's just not going to happen. That was my line, he's not next to me, and very aggressive driving I felt. But maybe he's trying to startle us and get us out of the way, I don't know. But I wasn't going to get startled by this. Obviously I can cope with pressure like this. So you can see again, I'm saving fuel, so that obviously this is what I was getting on point off before. Saving fuel, so in the pit stop we can gain a good few seconds away from him and get out the slipstream, and then we can start pushing after the pit stop to try our best to get rid of that 4-second penalty. And it's going to be a hard job. You can see he's holding on at the moment, and I wasn't 100% sure if he was saving fuel or not, but I don't think he was. You can see there we're in fuel mixture 3, just saving the fuel. Especially through these corners, you can really get away with saving the fuel and not really getting much loss of time, as long as you get it back into that faster mix during the acceleration zone. So even through this section I was leaving it on 2, because this corner again you've got to be very patient before you get on the throttle. And then once I was on the throttle, I was putting it back down to 1. You can see there, to make sure that I've got the straight line speed going through the slipstream zone. So again, we've managed to pull away a bit now. You can see the Audi TT kills its tyres quite fast, I find. So you can see at this point now we're starting to get a little bit more comfortable. So I go back into fuel mixture 2 and decide I'm going to save fuel through this bit here. Now I know I can take that this final corner a little bit better than he was in general. He seemed to lose a lot of time on the exit. You can see that again there he's losing time, and I think possibly his tyres might have started to be getting a little bit worn out. You can see our front lefts are starting to wear a bit, but not as much. This 86 GR seems okay with the tyre wear. It's a car that I'm going to start using more. I do like it. It seems to handle really well and cope with tyre wear reasonably well. And you can also do okay-ish short shifting, not like you can with the M4, but you can get away with a little bit of short shifting. You can see again running fuel mixture 3 through that corner and not really losing any sort of time to the guy behind. So you can see our tyres must be in better condition. It also helps with your tyres running that fuel mixture on level 2 and 3, because you're not putting as much power through them wheels as you're going through the corner, so they're not wearing out quite as badly. I mean, it's only minimal amount, but every little helps in these races where you've got high tyre wear on, and obviously the higher fuel mixture. So you can see again putting it into fuel mixture 1, because I wanted to get a nice exit from this corner and work my way all the way down this straight. You can see, because obviously this is lap 6, so it's the lap that I'll probably be pitting on halfway through the race. Wanted to split the obviously the pit stop in terms of 50-50, so I've got equal amounts on each side, and my guess was that he was going to follow me in the pits, thinking that he could undercut me maybe by putting a little bit less fuel in or something, but I don't think he realised that at this point I was saving quite a bit of fuel. And you can see there we push it as hard as we can through that final corner to try and build up a little bit of a cushion, and we're in the pits, and you can see straight away what I was also going to do was try and put a little bit extra fuel in, because I know I'd been fuel saving in that first stint, so I was going to go over that diamond, because that works out on what you've been driving the first stint. So you can see there we actually put a fair amount more than what I need, but I know that because I've saved that much I'll still come out ahead. And you can see the guy who was in third place has actually jumped the second place person and got himself into second. Obviously he's actually in P4 I think it is now, because we've got some cars that's not pitted there, and P1 hasn't pitted there, he's obviously got a pit, and P3 behind us hasn't pitted, so it's P4 is the guy who was in P3 and P5 is the guy who was right behind us. But we got quite a big lead now to the driver who was right behind us, so now I can see I've got quite a substantial lead over the guys I was racing in terms of gap, so I've got to push as hard as I can now. This is a phase of the race where now I've really just got to go for it all the way to the end. So you can see we've got one mixture on the fuel, and we're going to start pushing and try and put in some really nice laps all the way to the end. You can see the consistency was much better on this race. You can see there 17.3, 17.6, 17.6, and then we pitted. And then you're going to see again we're going to go for consistency, because we've got to build up a 4-second lead to make sure that we get the win in this race. So it's going to be quite a challenge, because we've only got like what, 6 laps to go, something like that. So from when we pitted it was 6 laps, so 5 laps from this point, and you can see we've got a 1 second lead to the guy who's now behind us, but he's pitted. So let's have a little look at the distance we've got between the guy who's actually in second now. So we're about 1.8, 1.9 seconds. I think that's about 1.8 seconds, something like, yeah, 2 seconds ahead now. So we've got to build up 2 more seconds. But this guy was also fuel saving in that first stint and holding on to us. So he's obviously got some reasonable race pace. So we've got to try and build up 2 seconds lead in 5 laps. So that's quite, when you think about how short this lap is, that's quite a task to do. But you can see straight away we're in purple sector in sector 1. We're running that 1 mixture all the way through, so we're gaining every little bit. You can see I'm really pushing it all the way, using all the dust on the right hand side, trying to get all the power on as soon as I can. You can see I'm really trying to push as hard as I can now to try and get a win with that 4-second penalty. It's going to be a task to do, because obviously the guy behind has got speed. We've gained another 2 temps out on him in that first half of the lap. Again, we go through that middle sector, another purple sector, 3 temps up on our previous best lap. So it looks like this lap's going to get itself into the 1:16s, especially with running that 1 fuel mixture all the way to the end of the race now. So you can see the guy who was in P2, who was right behind us, has now fallen back quite a bit. I actually don't think he's even that close to the guy in second place, so it does show you the difference. You can see there the gap is 2 seconds to the guy behind. We do a 1:16.8, so a first lap is into the 1:16s that's on these fresh tyres, and we're starting to pull away. So at the end of that lap we were 2 seconds ahead of the guy behind, so we need to keep on pushing. This guy's definitely got some speed. You can see he's not a slouch, so we need to keep pushing as hard as we can to build this gap up and up and up. And you see again, going through that first sector split, we're actually nearly 2 temps up on our fastest lap. So we're still pushing, and we're trying to keep it nice and smooth, but pushing at the same time. This track, the smoother you are, in general, the faster you'll be, because you're being smooth and taking the lines and getting the car into the apex at the right point and getting on the power early. It's where you gain a lot of time getting the power on nice and early, especially for like the corner we've just been through, working our way now all the way down the straight. You gain a lot of time by being on the power early. As you can see again there, we've gained a little bit more time, and we're near just over 2 temps up, and you can see we're 2.3 seconds ahead of the guy in second now. So we really need to see how much we've gained over this lap. We was around 2 seconds ahead at the end of lap 8. So let's see what we are at the end of lap 9 as we go onto the start straight. Do it reasonably well on that corner. We get a nice exit speed, and you can see it's now 2.3, 2.4. Let's give it a little bit of time to catch up as he goes over the line. So at this point now it's around 2.5, so we gained about 4 or 5 temps as we went over the line on a 1:16.6. so we improved the lap again by 2 temps, but we still need to carry on improving. We've only got 3 laps to go, and we need to gain a 1.5 seconds, and we only gained 4 temps around that on that lap. So we've got to keep pushing and try and get an even faster lap here now, even though the tyres are starting to wear, but obviously that fuel's coming down, and obviously I think myself putting that extra bit of fuel. You can see again with purple sectors again, it was just constant purple sectors. I just had to keep hitting them sectors perfect, and you can see obviously I think putting that extra bit of fuel in may have helped me out a little bit, so I can run the 1 mixer. As you can see, we've already gained over half a second on this lap, so I'm not sure whether he's had to do some fuel saving. As he did come out that pits right fairly close behind us, so maybe he did under fuel a bit to get the position into second. And again we go through that middle split, another purple sector, and we're 2 temps or 2.5, nearly 3 temps up on the previous lap. So we're pushing as hard as we can. We're 3.2 seconds up, but it's still it was touch and go. I've just got to keep pushing. Yeah, we've got 2 more laps after we go over the line here now. Going through the final corner, really pushing. You can see as close as I dared to the left hand side on that dust. If you hit that sand, you end up spinning off. So we go over the line a 1:16.4, so you can really see the difference between this run and the run we did in our first race, where we've got our strategy better and we can really push now, and we've got into the rhythm of the track, and we go over that as he goes over the line. So we're nearly 3.4 seconds over in the lead, so we've got to gain 6 temps over 2 laps. So it's touch and go whether we're going to do it. We can't afford to make any mistakes. Tyre wear starting to kick in a bit now. You can see we're 2 temps down on the the first sector, but that is obviously because the tyre wear is starting to kick in a bit now as we're using one mixture all the way to the end, and we're pushing them tyres very hard. So going through these corners, nice and clean still, trying to keep it tidy, just trying to concentrate on not making a mistake, pushing as hard as we can. I just kept looking at that 4-second penalty and thinking I've got to keep pushing, I've got to get this up to over 4 seconds. As you can see now, we're at 3.7 seconds, still not at that magical 4 seconds yet. As I didn't want to have to lift off at the end, I wanted to just go over the line and take the 4-second penalty. That was what I wanted to do. So you can see now, we're going through the final corner again. We're going to try and take it nice and easy into the first part and then accelerate hard out of the corner. And again, we pushed it right to the edge there, really pushing. And the guy behind starting to lose a little bit more time. It's about 3.8 seconds. So we've got this lap to really make sure that we get over that 4 seconds. We've got to make sure our lap is better than the guy behind us by over 2 tenths. And again, that lap was a 16.8, so another good lap into the 1 minute 16s. The tyre wear is starting to kick in now. As you see, we went 16.8, 16.6, 16.4, and then we're back up to 16.8, where the tyre wear's starting to take a bit of effect on the way the car's handling now. And obviously, the fuel is very low obviously as well, but the tyre wear, you can see on that front left, we've started to put a lot more wear than the first stint we did, because obviously we're pushing that one mixture all the way to the end, and we're actually over the 4 second mark now. We're 4.2 seconds. It looks like the guy behind us had to do a little bit of fuel savings. We're 4.3, 4.4 seconds ahead, as it's clear he's obviously having to use a little bit of saving fuel for this last lap, as he obviously he probably just tried to make sure that he could get second place by underfueling in the pits, because I felt like he had more speed. You could see when he was behind the other guy, he seemed to be holding back and being very clever in how he was driving. He wasn't being aggressive, he was just holding back, saving fuel. And that's what that guy in second place really should have been doing. He should have just been saving fuel behind me. He would have been able to save even more than what I was, because he would have had the slipstream. And we go through the final corner and we're still over 4 seconds, and we're going to accelerate all the way to the end. You can see our fuel, 0.1 laps of fuel left, and we're going to go over the line pretty much running out of fuel. You can see he judged it to perfection, 0.1 laps of fuel, and we go over the line and we've got the win, because the guy behind ends up nearly a second behind, because of the 4 second penalty. So we managed to get that win, and I was happy with that. Obviously the guy in fourth, who was in second place, finished fourth in the end. It looks like he got outdone on strategy, 7 seconds behind. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed that race. We're going to be back with more GT Sport races and the daily race and FIA events and Project Cars 2 and Assetto Corsa. So make sure you sub the channel and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching everyone.